It was the very beginning of spring. Ben and Grandpa were busy in the garden. "Look, Grandpa!" Ben pointed. "A fat, fuzzy bumblebee. Ziggity-zag, ziggity-zag, bzzump!" The bee peeped into a little hole in the earth. "Ah," said Grandpa, "a queen bee looking for somewhere to nest." The wind blew. Snowdrops shivered. "Isn't she cold?" asked Ben. Grandpa smiled. "Her thick coat keeps her warm." Ben buttoned up his warm coat. "Me too." Outside, rain was falling. Pitter-patter, splash-splish. Inside, Ben was playing, softening beeswax in his hands. He squeezed it and shaped it. He rolled it into a good long worm. "Grandpa," said Ben, "where do bumblebees go when it rains?" "Well, by now the queen will have found a little hole in the ground. She'll be warm and dry inside her nest today." "Just like us," said Ben. "Just like us," said Grandpa. "She keeps her food in a little wax pot, so that even on rainy days, when it's too wet to fly, she has plenty to eat." Ben coiled his wax round and round. "There," he said, "I've made a pot too." One day Grandpa and Ben had a picnic in the garden with Ben's baby sister, Hannah May. Ben watched the queen bee fly out of her nest under the hedge. She flew over to the daisies and back again. "What's she doing, Grandpa?" "Well," said Grandpa, "inside her nest the queen laid her eggs. Out of each egg came a little larva, small and plump and wiggly." "Like Hannah May," said Ben. Grandpa laughed. "Yes, a little like Hannah May. The queen is collecting pollen from the flowers to feed her larvae." Ben nodded. He passed Hannah May the dish, full of good things to eat. "Nom, nom, nom." "Sometime soon," said Grandpa, "when the larvae have grown big and strong, each one will do something very special." "What, Grandpa?" "Each little larva will spin itself a silk cocoon." Ben found a blanket. He took one end and gave the other end to Hannah May. She held on tight. "Now spin," said Ben. "Whee!" Hannah May spun round and round. The blanket wound around her until, plump, she sat down laughing. "Look, Grandpa," said Ben, "Hannah May is a cocoon." By summertime there were lots of busy bees. "Where have they all come from?" said Ben. "From the cocoons, of course," said Grandpa. Inside their cocoons each little larva turned into a bee. The bees feasted on the flowers, sipping the sweet nectar. Zip, zip, sip, sip. On one white blossom a bumblebee hummed. "Look, Grandpa," said Ben, "on her back legs, little yellow balls." "Ah, you've spotted the bee's pockets," said Grandpa. "She fills them with pollen to feed her baby sisters in the nest." "I know," said Ben. "Let's give our berries to my baby sister." The strawberries were sweet and juicy. Hannah May was very happy. Squeeze, squash, slip, slurp. "You know," said Grandpa, "we only have these berries because of the bees." "What do you mean?" asked Ben. "Well, when bees visit flowers, they carry pollen from one flower to another. The pollen helps turn the flowers into fruits." Ben took a bite of his strawberry. "Thank you, bees." Ben was quiet for a while, thinking. "Grandpa, the bees feed me, so could we feed the bees?" Grandpa grinned. He nodded his head. "Yes," he said, "we can." At summer's end, Grandpa and Ben worked side by side. They cleared the ground, They dug and they raked. Grandpa held out a rustly paper bag. "Wildflower seeds," he said. "In winter they'll dream, in spring they'll grow, and in summer they'll flower and give their nectar and pollen to the bees." Ben sprinkled the seeds onto the soil. Very gently he covered them over with a fine blanket of earth. "Pat, pat, night, night, sweet dreams." In the autumn, Ben and Grandpa tidied up the garden. Scrunch, crunch. "Not too neat," said Grandpa. "The queen bees will need somewhere safe to sleep through the winter." So Grandpa and Ben left one part of the garden wild. They let the weeds be. They let the grass grow. They didn't rake up the fallen leaves or cut back the ivy. And in a shady spot, Ben made a pile of old logs. A bedroom fit for a queen. Winter came. By supper time the sun had set, and by bedtime the stars were bright. Grandpa looked out at the garden. "All the bumblebee queens are fast asleep now," he said, "hibernating till the spring." Ben snuggled into his blanket. "I like hibernating too." Day by day the year turned. Winter became spring. In the earth the seeds woke up. So did the queen bees. The wild flowers put down roots and sent up shoots. The queen bees found nests and laid eggs. Fat buds swelled. So did wiggly larvae. By summertime the garden was bright with flowers, a feast for the bumblebees. Bzzz.